You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is a place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Yeah. See, he gets better at that every time, doesn't he?
Right, every time.
Every time. You need a little closer to the mic. About maybe 2 inches in, you go. Because that way they can hear your booming voice. This is Kris Noteboom here, the owner of Wilde Cigar and Culture, has become a fast favorite here in Burleson. I've been there about 3 times, and it's about half full, and I've been there, and we're not talking about, the high peak rush hours.
Yeah.
I went there one time at 4 p.m. and met your manager, and and it was a decent crowd for 4 in the afternoon. And so it's taken off. Now I'm sure, you look at the books and go, start crossing yourself or something. But anyway.
I tell my staff, it's my job to worry.
Yeah.
Because they'll come to me and be like, man, things are going great. And I'm like,
just wait.
We're getting there.
Yeah, you are getting there. And we're going to talk about running a business during an inflationary period, also with the supply shortages, because most of your cigars are imported, and we'll see if that impacts it. Maybe other types of costs, that maybe what you've learned about unexpected costs. Even in my modest little enterprise here, like, I have to pay for that.
Everything.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
and your enterprise is much larger. I'm sure, much more involved than me just hanging around talking about stuff on the microphone. But anyway, but let's go ahead and talk about the sponsors first, which try to get the Facebook stuff working. And I'll remember this time to turn the volume down. That's a good thing. Anyway, so thank you, Daniel, CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Get yourself a good workout there. It's not for the faint of heart. It's for those that are serious about getting fit, not throwing a fit, as I say. No, it's a workout, and it's supposed to be. They have trainers, they have programs, they have routines there, so it's not just get there and so throwing the iron around. They got a format there to help you get in shape. So check it out, 317 Southwest Wilshire, and you'll be glad you did. Thank you to Shandy with the real estate, Shandy Stockstill Group. She's going to be on next Friday. We're going to do a Friday show for her Re-Inspire group. She does this group that helps foster children who are aging out of the system to adjust to society.
That's awesome.
It is. It really is. And she and Shireen also will be here. And it's really, come Sunday, not Shireen, Clarice, I'm sorry. I'll get the name right sooner or later. Anyway, I get it. But anyway, Ms. Olson will be here. And they've been on before, and it's a really good program because, there's so many things out there that need attention that sometimes, they don't get the attention they need, and this is one of them. So thank you, Shandy. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. I might sneak in a couple of real estate questions. Also, Rex over at the Russell Wealth Group. Hit myfinancialbox.com, hit the link, and find out what in the world's going on at the stock market. Yesterday goes up 900 points a day. It's 500 points down, blah, blah, blah. I can't make heads or tails of it, and I don't try. And
algorithms.
Yeah, algorithms. It's those day traders, right? I really do think it's the day traders that are making a mess of it.
I really think those the micro transactions and
then it's back when I was leaving college, go to Baylor, I was going to be a stockbroker, and I changed to banking, which obviously worked out well for me, right? but this back then, it was personal relationships, knowledge of the market, financial data, solid information. Now it's weird stuff, and so you need somebody to help you navigate through this. And Rex Russell can do it. He's been doing it we're Baylor graduates together, so he studied. I hung around and watched a lot of ESPN. Anyway, thank you to Gayla Moores over at Southern Gym, one of your neighbors.
Oh yeah,
my wife's gonna be working for her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Starting Saturday, actually.
Yeah.
And then this summer, and then eventually when she leaves Centennial High School, BISD. She's going to work for her full time.
That's awesome.
My wife has some experience in jewelry. Before we met at the business we both worked at, she was in jewelry then too.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
All right, so it's Mother's Day on
Sunday.
Yeah, and there's lots of deals, 20% off on some of the inventory. So go check it out. Top of the Windmill Building. Also, Hot Works Infrared. I went over there about a month ago to visit with Michelle. She's so busy. She's opened up a second outfit in Las Colinas, and she got all these different workouts. It's not the same as CrossFit at all. It's not like throwing weight. It's Pilates, it's yoga, it's aerobics.
It's like hot yoga?
Hot yoga,
Oh.
yeah. It's infrared workout systems. Everything you do rowing, you do biking, whatever.
Oh, nice.
In an infrared format, and it maximizes a workout and alleviates a lot of the stress that one might feel. I've had several of her clients tell me that they go not just for the workout, but just because it's a stress reliever. Mm-hmm. So I could probably use some of that. But anyway, now you had a big visitor today in your shop, didn't you?
Yeah, I just came from, because I still work a day job, but I went over there this morning. We had Nick Perdomo in, the head of Perdomo Cigars, which is one of the probably 2 or 3 largest cigar companies in the world. It was a very big deal for us to get the visit. You know, this is his first time visiting. So, yeah, I had to make an appearance, say hi.
Perdomo Cigars, would that be like one of the, like, I don't know, the Budweiser of cigars? I mean, that level of dominance of the market?
Not
that products are the same.
No. At the level of dominance, yeah, you could put Perdomo, Oliva, Fuente, Drew Estate is kind of your, and Padron are kind of your big 5 in my mind, and then probably AJ Fernandez too.
Okay, but, and I've seen over the last few months, you've had sponsorships or not. Some of their representatives come by and push their products there, and you're like the landing pad for that. Because
it's a pretty normal feature in a cigar shop to do what we call brand events.
Brand events. That's actually the phrase I'm looking for.
Yeah, brand events. So we'll do a big party or something, and then we'll team up with a cigar company, and they'll come in and they'll offer special deals on that day, so that it gets you in the door at a lower cost. Try the stuff,
So do you tailor these around, say, a big event on sports? Like I know you had stuff going with the Final Four and all that.
We have tried.
Yeah.
And we're just not getting the sports crowd.
Well, they're probably thinking they're going to a sports bar, and I've been.
And that's it's one of the things we have a lot of competition in town. We have Buffalo Wild Wings, we have Twin Peaks, we have.
I can't go to Twin Peaks. Robin
I don't. Nothing against it. It's not my scene either. But I know when it comes to big sporting events, they like to go to those places. So we promote the sports. And, last night it was me, my guy working the front counter, who's also a shareholder, and then like 4 other people watching the Mavs give it away.
Yeah, well, it was past my bedtime for the second half. I went to bed at halftime. They were
I was
leading,
pretty tired too.
And then I woke up this morning. They lost
by 20. Yeah.
Well, but, when I do the ad rotation, I do talk about you having the TVs on for sports.
We do.
But you don't have it blasting away like you would at No Frills or something like that.
Yeah, it's not blasting. It kind of depends on the game. So, like, last night, I turned the music down a little, turned the game volume up a little.
Right.
It's second round of the playoffs.
Right.
Though for the Stars game, too, tonight, probably not going to do volume unless I get people who specifically want to watch it. Same with the Rangers. We usually just turn them on in the background, and then we play a pretty good selection of music.
That's what I was. That's how I push your show. Actually, is because it's a place you can have a conversation. Place you can have a decent drink, a decent cigar, and have a conversation. And and there are Rangers or NBA on the background, and you could follow it if you want, but it's not a place that you're going to go with a bunch of buddies.
Yeah, we're not directing all the chairs towards it,
or slug a bunch of beer and all this. And no, it's No, I put it out there like on the Masters. I'm sure you had something going on this final Sunday. I remember you promoted something, but and that's a place I do go to watch a golf match. Actually, is
no, it's actually golf tends to be very popular in cigar shops.
Yeah,
one because of your average clientele, but also because it's a quiet game for a quiet place.
right, and so. It's not a place you go with a bunch of rowdy wahoo people and whatnot, and that's fine. And that's why if I go watch sports at a bar, which is very rare actually, you're kind of places where I'd like to do it.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want to be blasted out, But anyway, but so back to the brand events, you have this Perdomo, that's his last name, right?
Perdomo,
Perdomo,
yes.
He comes by and he pushes his cigars, whatever else.
So in this case today, it's just a visit.
Just a visit?
Because he's in town for an event with someone else.
Ah, well, that's a pretty big deal, though.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, when they come in town, either from Miami or Santiago or Nicaragua, they usually try and create a tour for themselves. So if I'm coming for a specific event, this place, I'm going to hit all these places. So...
Well, the fact that he puts you on a tour is a big deal.
It's great. it was a very big deal. We've been very lucky. We've become the place that they all want to see.
Sure.
Because they hear about it, they want to see it. For people that don't know cigar shops or cigar bars as much, our model's a little different than what you'll find most places.
Well, the only other one I've been to is Silverleaf, and it's fine. It is what it is. But what I liked about yours is that, you could go there for a drink, not necessarily for cigar, even though that's the main attraction. And people that think a cigar bar, they're thinking a bunch of old guys, puffing away on big old stogies and a big cloud of smoke. And I tell them, no, it's not that way at all. I mean, you get the aroma of cigars, which is, for a lot of people, they like that. But you're not going to get clouded out by a bunch of smoke and you have tears in your eyes. And, and it's nothing like that at all. It's a very well ventilated, well lit, and, very comfortable place.
Yeah. As I tell people, the single most expensive item, in construction was the HVAC and filtration system. 23 tons of air, 9 what we call smoke eaters, industrial media air cleaners that are pass-through units that have a pre-filter, HEPA filter, charcoal filter, and they're running all the time.
Well, I remember when we first talked and you were still in the construction stage, you were talking about like tens of thousands of dollars for those units.
$85,000.
Yeah, I was going to say about 90, but about 90.
$85,000. It was the single biggest ticket item, but it was important to us because exactly what you're saying is that one of my theories for a long time is when people think of cigar shops, they think of a bunch of old grizzly men sitting around chomping on, and it's cloudy and it's dank and it's dark, and because a lot of shops are, we have really high ceilings, we have the huge windows, and on top of that, we put in the great filtration system because we're trying to literally bring cigars kind of back into the light and show that, this is something you can hang out around even if you're not a big, even if you're not a cigar person. It's always important to tell them, like, the difference between cigars and cigarettes, you have to make that separation. Because the thing that makes the cigarette smoke so noxious is all the chemicals they add to it, more than anything. The cigars don't have any of that. It's dried leaves.
Well, when I went there with my son-in-law who likes cigars, and we were there about 6 weeks ago. We went by. I was buying him some cigars for helping me move furniture, which is what son-in-law is supposed to do.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get married.
Yeah, okay. You don't want to move furniture. Is that the reason? Okay. Oh, my goodness. Well, anyway, they your guy there, gave us a little tour of the humidor. I forget his name. I'm sorry.
Is it Daryl or Jason?
Jason.
Yeah.
All right. And they know their cigars, right? This is
Jason is one of the most knowledgeable people in the world.
Yeah, that's it. Did you have him come by the B&I meeting about a month ago?
I think Daryl went by the meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, Jason showed us around, and he knew what these cigars taste like, and that was an important thing. It wasn't like some teenage kids say, "Oh, they're over there," and it's like, no, if you want this type of flavor, you want this type of smoke, or you want this type of aroma, et cetera, et cetera. And so my son-in-law bought about 30. Well, I did. Bought about $30 worth of cigars, and but it was nice to have somebody. My son-in-law was impressed. He had somebody there that knows cigars, and that could, say, well, I like this kind of experience with a cigar. And he said, well, this is what you want over here, or maybe this one over here, as opposed to, take your pick, and that's important.
Well, I've been lucky in my cigar life, spending time in other shops for a long time, that I spent time in shops that really took that seriously. That it's not just someone working at cash register. This has to be someone, because you have to think of cigars as like a wine or a whiskey or even a craft beer. It's a craft artisanal product. We have 500 facings in there. Now, some of that's just different sizes of the same things, but 500 facings, it can be a bit overwhelming.
It is. You walk in there, it's like, whoa.
So we we make sure that everyone that is working up front is on some level of tobacconist, whether they're still learning or they're fully on, like Jason. And we tell people, we're your Sherpa. This is a journey. It never ends. I've been having cigars for 24 years now, and I'm still learning new things all the time. It develops, it changes. It's all about your palate. So your palate will change over time. And we've been talking lately that pre-opening, I was a heavy, full-bodied Maduro 6x60 on the size, so big, fat cigar. And I have moved back down into the medium body range with more like kind of spice notes and stuff on thinner re-engaged cigars because my palate has kind of changed.
Sure. Is it also, these tobacconists can say, well, this cigar goes best with this cocktail and this cigar goes best with this wine or whatever. So you can even match up with, your favorite beverage choice.
Absolutely. I mean, there are a couple sayings is, if they share soil, they share flavors.
That's interesting. I never thought of that.
Because, I mean, a lot of the flavor that comes through the leaves or beans or whatever it is, grains, grapes, it's pulling from the soil. And so that's why you'll get a lot of coffee and chocolate notes in cigars typically because they're coming from places where you grow a lot of coffee and cocoa.
I actually thought that was an added feature of the cigars, not something that was naturally put in.
It's naturally there from the soil. But also then the fermentation process, as they age them for months to even years, just like you're aging whiskey or you're aging wine, it's going to further draw out and develop some of these flavors and turn them into something else. So you'll get into vanilla and you'll get into baking spices and black pepper.
Really? It's interesting because I always thought, I said, this one has notes of plum and whatever else. I just thought maybe that was just something they put in at the point of manufacture.
It's just where they're growing it, because this is the same way with grapes is one of the best comparisons, because they'll make those little flavor kits for wine. Smell the rosemary, now taste the wine. And it's the same principle. Think of everything that's growing around the tobacco plantation. It's going to pull from there. And the soil matters. Even in Nicaragua, there's 4 different growing regions, and all 4 of them have very distinct flavors to them.
Well, see, I'm getting an education. I hope my vast listening audience is as well, because most people know somebody. If they don't smoke cigars themselves, they know people that do, and you also do the gift cards routine.
Yes,
that's not just
nice like plastic. Gift cards you can just scan in the machine, no paper.
So yes, and that way, even if like you have an uncle, your friend, your spouse has a taste for cigars, you could still make a good Mother's Day gift.
Right.
But definitely Father's Day's coming up in about a month and change.
Well, and then Father's Day for sure.
Yeah.
I will say we have a lot of women that hang out.
Well,
it was our goal to have more women than your typical cigar shop, and it has worked, and we have a lot of women who hang out.
Do they smoke cigars themselves?
Yes.
It's interesting.
Some do. Some take advantage of the cocktails. We have a craft cocktail menu that I'd put against anyone this side of the Metroplex.
I would second that.
Legit.
And you have balcones. That's right there.
And we have balcones.
And that's that right there.
But, we make all our own syrups, and we make our own sweet vermouth that people are nuts for. They just order that to drink by itself.
Well,
can you believe it?
I'd like to have something with it.
You put a little lemon bitter in it, and it takes out.
Well, I just as soon have something with that.
Well, I agree. The smoked cherry Manhattan for sure. But great.
You do the smoke routine and all that.
We smoke
good.
it, and but we have a lot of women, extremely diverse audience, across age, across race, across gender and sex, across everything.
That's what you were aiming for when you put this together.
That's what I was really hoping for, because, your neighborhood's your neighborhood, and that's fine. But a lot of shops do tend to, especially around here, tend to skew older, male, and we wanted to kind of let's try and open that up. We certainly want that demographic, and we have plenty of it. We love them, but we're there's more out there. I always call it the hidden demographic. You never know your friend is into cigars unless it comes up. You could know them for years.
Well, how do you promote to this hidden demographic then? Besides this wonderful podcast.
Well, we do this. You
have your own podcast, don't you?
Well, we will be starting them soon. We do have a nice studio there that is for rent. But also, my partner, who is heading all that stuff up, he's been out of state working for a big church in Cincinnati. He's actually at the shop today for our event tomorrow, but he is moving back next month, and then our studio is going to really get going, a lot more video content. And then we also advertise in local life with Tiffany.
Yeah.
The development, the Standard at Chisenhall, has a billboard on 174 there.
I've seen it.
And then we've done a lot of face-to-face around town. We send Daryl out to go to businesses and dealerships and wherever else to do introductions, hand out some coupons.
Well, what I like about
And then we're very, very active on social media.
Right. What I like about your place is exactly what you referred to, and that is it is a place that anybody can go there and feel comfortable. It's not like, well, I don't know how I'll be received there kind of routine.
Yeah.
It's like when you walk in the door, the politics and whatever else stops at the door. And, we've talked about this before, because we're all free to have our own personal political affiliations, support, whatever else, but you don't want to bring that into a social environment and hammer people with it. And so it's a place, I always say it's like the really good bars are the ones that you can have conversations, but the intensity, if you will, or all the political animosity is not welcome in those kind of environments.
Yeah, and we haven't had very much of it.
I wouldn't think so.
Just every once in a while, someone will go on a rant about something, but it kind of passes. My staff and me, our policy personally is to stay apolitical because we genuinely want this to be a place that everyone feels comfortable. So you're not going to see me putting up signs in the door of like, I support this candidate or whatever, because I want everyone to hang out. Okay. That's one of the best things about a cigar shop is that it's a public meeting place.
Right. It's hence the name pub, because it was a public house.
Yes.
And so, there are good places where you can have civil conversations, but as far as, bring in some intensity into the conversation, leave that at home.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that our political situation has been such that we're not just dividing between red and blue states, but also red and blue sections of town almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's not healthy. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And and just as a side note, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about a pretty sensitive topic. And I want to say just for the public, it doesn't necessarily reflect or not the views of the sponsors, but I asked all 8 of my sponsors, I'd like to talk about that Supreme Court leak tomorrow. And all 8 said, go for it. You were included.
Yeah. And
because this is the format for that. But even if, amongst the 8, there's variations of opinion, there was unanimity is the word. Okay. But anyway, unanimity, that's it. Yes, it was your unanimous choice that, yes, this is something that needs to be discussed. Now, would I bring into your bar? Heck, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's not the conversation I'm hoping we have at the bar.
No.
More free-spirited.
Yeah. And
Rangers have won 4 in a row.
Yeah, things like that. But I appreciate what you and the other 7 have done is said, go for this, because this is why we support this show, even if sometimes what you say we're not going to be quite on board with. And I'm not going to go any further than that, because I don't want to characterize anybody's of the 8 sponsors what they personally thought of the Supreme Court ruling. Yeah. They can ask you yourself if they're that interested, and I don't think they are. But anyway, no,
I find a lot of my customers don't really care what I think about the politics. Am I providing a good environment to hang out?
Right.
And that's great, because that's what I want to do.
Well, I'm going to talk about the second round of sponsors. Then we'll talk about the economic impact of the shortages, maybe if we have them, labor issues if you have them. I doubt you have labor issues.
No,
because I know that when we talked before, you took great pains to provide a supportive labor situation, an employment situation. Also, we can talk about, maybe that little blockade we had down south on the trucks, and it'll be testing your apolitical stance there.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, let's go through the sponsors. We've got Otto, of course, our place. I always like going over there and seeing him stroll around, acting like a big shot. Is that what you do? You walk around like with a cigar, like, hey, this is my joint.
Yeah, I kind of no. In fact, if you ask my customers, they'll tell you I hide a lot, which is not true. But we have our little alley there on the side. I like to sit with my tobacconists and help them if they need help. And
well, I've been there one time you were there, because see, I go earlier, and like you say, you have a day job, so you probably don't get there till evening time, right?
Weekdays, not until after 5.
Yeah. So I've been there before 5, and I've seen you there before, after 5, and you're walking around like, yeah, this is my thing here.
I mean, sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
you got to enjoy it a little.
Take a little pride in it. Otto surely does. Thank you to also yourself. We're going to be talking about that quite a bit. Also, we're going to talk about this influencer you got coming tomorrow night. I think if you're in like cigars, you might want to go there tomorrow night for
it's
lots of reasons.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes, and also thank you to Antonio for proactivepaymentsolutions.com. He's going to help you with your point of sales operations, help you with your transition to a new system if you need one, better rates, also streamline your operations. So proactivepaymentsolution.com will get you in touch with Antonio, and he has a day job too. He's a certified electrician, so if you need one, you know where to call. Anyway, all right. And also, of course, we both know Tiffany. She was on Tuesday with her latest issue, and they need to be about 3 of her because she's running from this place to that place to the other.
Man, she does so much.
And then she did, all that Centennial High School stuff, the after prom party. They had it after prom when you were in BHS, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You remember your prom date?
Emily Hoekstra.
Oh, really? Well,
we had dated for like a year.
Oh.
And we broke up like right before prom.
Oh,
but
man.
we still went together.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Well, good.
I was an idiot.
Yes.
And you can vouch for that.
No. Just a high school boy. By definition, high school boys lack certain, cerebral capabilities. Anyway, also, we have a couple of nonprofits here. We have you've seen this before, the Caring Physicians Clinic or Charity Network.
I've heard about this. Thanks.
Yeah, it's over on Haskew Street, which is on the corner of First Baptist parking lot. It used to be the First Baptist Promises Center, and we outgrew that really quickly.
Yeah, that's down the street from my house.
Really, the Haskew is? Or
yeah,
Promises?
I live on Tarrant right there, behind the church.
Oh, okay. Well, then, it's a kind of a joint venture between Pathways and First Baptist. Now, the physicians are provided by this network, but I'm really glad to see this here.
That's great.
Yeah, Monday, when we had the mayor on, we had some video clips of it and some photos, and they're going to be on in about 10 days, roughly. Their main physician is out of pocket for about that long, so we're going to have them on probably the 3rd week of May. And I'm really excited because I know we need this, and I hope they provide a great service. I'm sure they will. And also, I got contacted about a week ago, but the Spring Fling, it's on a Sunday afternoon here in Crowley at the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's supposed to be fun and, lots of stuff, but it's also going to be some service-oriented products out there. And when I say products, I mean productions maybe is the better word. I'm not using good English, but basically it's not just to have fun, which is part of it, but also provide services to the community. So Spring Fling with the Seventh-day Adventist Church on Sunday afternoon. And it's on, I'm looking at the date more clearly. My eyes aren't very good. May 15th. There you are, May 15th. That'll be a week from Sunday. On May 15th here in Crowley. It's on 3200 FM 1187, which is the main drag here in town, so you know where it's at. All right, anyway, let's talk about the economics of this. It has, we're all aware about the inflation, et cetera, et cetera. Has that been impacting your bar?
I mean, I don't think specifically. With the bar, I haven't noticed. Because where we buy our liquor doesn't obey the regular rules of pricing anyway.
Well, I'm going to ask you about that as well. And remind me to ask about this. I know about 2 months ago there was a proposal in City Council to allow in Burleson something similar to Liquor Depot. And I'd like to talk about that aspect of it in a few minutes because I thought that was pretty interesting. But anyway, back to what you were saying.
Where we have to buy our liquor, I'm not sure he operates by normal rules. We already kind of overpay and our selection's limited. So on bar, not really. We've noticed it some with the groceries, things that for the syrups we make. And we certainly noticed price increases in citrus. Yeah, the limes shot through the roof. But then cigars, I mean, I was telling you, there's an annual price increase every year at the turn of the year. So I'm not sure if this was a bigger or smaller one than normal. And then also, and this is getting more into shipping, but cigars, it's tough to tell on that too, because we deal with back order stuff all the time because it's a handmade finite product, So
right, it isn't mass produced.
Yeah, it's not made on machines, and so sometimes there's just not enough.
Well, did that I don't know what you call blockade, but when Governor Abbott started inspecting the trucks and then started back up like for 3 days, did that impact you?
I mean, like I was telling you, I noticed a few more back orders than normal. I don't know if that's exactly why. But big difference for us is where it's coming from. If it's coming from Nicaragua, there's a good chance it'll come across there. If it's coming from the Dominican Republic, it's probably coming on a boat.
And you mentioned that was probably the one source that you were having the most difficulty with.
And Dominican's been the hardest because they actually had a crop failure. So a lot of the companies have been hurting. And we haven't been able to get some of the most popular accounts yet.
Are Cubans still embargoed?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was lifted during the Obama administration.
No. We were getting really, really close to it.
And then Mr. Trump said no.
And then Mr. Trump decided he'd rather make the Cuban community in South Florida happy.
That's as close to politics as you're going to get.
And that's not even a biased thing. That's a literal thing.
Yeah, I know.
Republicans are huge on courting the Cuban American population in South Florida, and it works. But they had hated that Obama had lessened it, and we were getting real close to ending it. And so he took all that off, because we gotten to where you could bring back, I think it was 100 sticks, because we had cruises going there. Like we had opened up tourism, and you could bring back Cuban rum, you could bring back Cuban cigars, which Cuban rum is the absolute best. Cuban cigars, and then Trump shut it all down again, and Biden just doesn't seem to have any interest in tackling it because he's dealing with a lot of other things. So it's probably going to be a while.
That's unfortunate because, it was interesting when they opened it up in 2015. One of the first groups I knew was a group from our church went.
Yeah.
They went on kind of a service mission. And they didn't bring back a bunch of cigars, and there was a lot of disappointed people in our church. Like, hey, man, right there.
Come on, man, they're right there. Yeah, it's the thing that annoys me is that we're the only country that does it.
Right.
You go to any other country, and their main cigar is Cuban cigars. So the embargo's not doing anything. It doesn't hurt Cuba at all because they still sell every single cigar they make every year, and plus some. I mean, they're some of us know they're actually shipping in other tobacco as filler in some cases. That's why you got to be careful about which Cubans you're having.
Right.
But no, they still sell everything they make. They sell every bottle of Cuban rum, every Cuban cigar. The embargo does nothing.
Well, I when Mr. Obama lifted the Cuban embargo, I had mixed feelings because I thought the embargo really hurts the people at the lower and middle ends more than it hurts the elites of any society.
Exactly.
And so I don't think it was really accomplishing anything. I had wished that in exchange for this recognition that Mr. Obama could have gotten more concessions about human rights issues in Cuba.
No, that's true.
But like I said, I have a mixed opinion. But when Trump reinstituted a lot of these restrictions, I'm thinking, what's the point in that?
And that's my opinion has always been, because it's this way with some places in the Middle East also. If you want democracy, the number one thing you can do is allow Americans to go hang out there. I don't think it's any coincidence that the Soviet Union fell not too many years after they finally got a McDonald's.
Well, I said that on the show, is that when they started loosening up and they got and said, we got choices of blue jeans, why don't we have choices in who leads us?
Exactly. It's a pebble down a hill. So if the tourism was a great first step, because I had friends that went to Cuba and they said, man, the Cuban people loved it.
Absolutely, they did.
Loved it.
My church friends, this is back in 2017 roughly when they went, the Cubans were like, they were so glad to see us. And they wanted to know about it. And it wasn't like they were all like wanting to hitch a ride back with them. They're Cubans, but they were glad to have Americans come. I tell you, another group that went down there was car collectors, because all those old cars were model cars still working because they didn't have a lot of new imports. But I am much more of a free trade person, particularly when it comes to products like these. Now, I know that no economic policy is 100% painless. Somebody's going to, but we don't really have an American tobacco. Do we have an American tobacco industry that could compete with what you're doing, with what you're selling?
I mean, we have American tobacco for sure. I mean, there's American tobacco in a lot of the stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
There are certain leaves that American tobacco contributes all the time. There's the most popular wrapper leaf in the world is the Connecticut. And now, not all Connecticut is grown in Connecticut now, but that's where it gets its name. Of course, the Carolinas are famous for tobacco growth, but most of that's used in cigarettes.
Well, I just was wondering, is like, we talk about, you made the comparison between wine and cigars. And, everybody thinks French wine is better than California wine, which I don't agree particularly. I think Texas produces
I thought we
good wine.
Settled that in the 70s.
Yeah, right. And then also they talk about, Italian wine is better than this. And I'm like, no,
Well,
really.
it's all opinion.
It's an opinion, right? I mean, I like Italian wine, but also I have no problem with American wine.
Yeah.
Texas wine.
I mean,
Lost Oak here in town has a very nice selection. And it's locally grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Y'all ever do any cross promotions?
in fact, we recently took part in a thing they were doing over there, selling themselves to like wedding planners, event planners, and stuff. And so they invited us for that, and that's gotten us some connections. But now, I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. In June, check Lost Oaks Media, and then we'll be promoting it soon. One Saturday night, like the 18th or something, we're doing cabs and cigars. So it's going to be their Cabernet and cigars that night.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'll be a really fun night, Saturday night.
That facility that they also have like receptions and whatnot in.
Yeah. So it'll be there. Roxanne and I have talked about teaming up on more things. So stay tuned for that. That should be a lot of fun.
Well, I really, that's something I'll put on the schedule. I guarantee you. We'll make sure we promote it when it gets a specific time and date. But I just always think that there's maybe a prejudice against American-made products, but America can compete in a lot of ways.
Oh, I mean, I think we can always. I mean, there actually is an American Puro, and a cigar is called a Puro, when all the tobacco comes from one country. There is an American Puro. We don't have it in the store right now, but it's made by J.C. Newman, one of the old school Tampa cigar companies. Tampa being kind of the second city to Miami for, if you ever go to Tampa, go to Ybor City, YBOR, and that's like old school cigar world. But yeah, J.C. Newman makes an American Puro that's really good. Generally there's a band around the globe, and think of where Cuba and Nicaragua and DR, and then you go around in Cameroon.
Really?
Oh, Cameroon wrappers are extremely popular.
Oh, really?
And then the Sumatra wrapper, which is comes out of Indonesia. And now, this is where the seeds come from. These days, some of them are grown in other places. Like Cameroon, as you might imagine, is a very hard place to do business. And so not all Cameroon wrapper comes from Cameroon anymore. Some of it actually comes from, I forget the neighboring country, but
Sierra Leone?
No, the other way.
Okay.
Anyway, but then also
you had geography sooner than I did.
I didn't take geography in high school. I took Intro to Western Civilization with Miss Campbell.
Miss Campbell, good friend of mine.
Yeah, they let me into an advanced class, which was a huge mistake. And you could have told them that.
No.
But no. But basically, that band around the globe is kind of the best place to grow tobacco. But it's certainly grown in other places. It's grown all the way down South America, Peru, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador. Ecuador produces one of the best wrappers also.
Really?
Yeah.
You mentioned something a few minutes ago about when I asked you about the inflation impact you said on your bar, it really isn't impacted because you have one place to buy the booze, right?
Yeah.
Down in Alvarado.
Yeah, there are two places in Johnson County that have a Class B license, which is the commercial license.
Right.
One of them will not give us an account, and the other one is Liquor Depot in Alvarado.
Yeah. Well, there was a proposal. I don't know how far it's gone yet to allow for have that type of liquor store here in Burleson. And I talked to the mayor was on I think it was about our late March episode, and it had just been proposed. How would you respond to somebody like if that were it was proposed, it has to be voted on, in a referendum. But how would you feel about having like a Total Wine or something like that here in
I'd
town?
do backflips all the way down Wilshire.
I thought you might.
I mean, literally, we're pretty proud of our selection, but it's very limited by what he'll bring in. And we have gotten him to bring in a couple things for us. He famously doesn't like to do it. We've gotten him to bring in a couple things. I think we've softened them a little because I think we're already one of their bigger customers.
Well, I would imagine.
But we aspire to be literally the best whiskey selection on the west side of the Metroplex. Literally the best cocktails on this side of the Metro. There are cocktails we can't do because he doesn't have things like chartreuse.
Well, and that doesn't make any sense to me, to tell you the truth. This whole idea they have to buy it within the county.
Oh,
that doesn't make any sense. I mean, even I would like to think even those that are not really into bars or alcohol that much realize what a restriction on free enterprises is. It's ridiculous. And people that are like most adamant about laissez-faire are also
the ones who pass all the blue laws. Yeah.
Right. And it just drives me nuts.
It drives me nuts too, because I'm not a member of your church. So why do I have to play by those rules? Well,
and also the fact is that if you had better access and competition for the alcohol that you serve, your customers will get probably not just better quality, but also it would probably control the costs. And so we're paying pretty much a premium because of the laws of the state.
You are. No, you certainly are. In fact, one of the most popular bourbons right now, Blanton's, we won't bring in because the only way he'll sell it to us is at $200 a bottle. That's a retail $50 bottle probably.
Yeah,
right. So 4 times the cost. I'm not going to be able to make any money on it. So, unless I charge you $40 a shot. $200 a bottle would be $40 a shot in our place.
That's a little bit more than I care to spend. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, not that you do this, and I don't want to imply that you do, but there may be some people in the state that basically bootleg. They'll buy it cheaper from somewhere else.
It's real hard here.
Is it? Yeah.
It's if you ever see in a bar, they got the little stamps on the bottles. That is kind of the end all be all. If they walk in and see that you've got a bottle in there that's over 20% alcohol that doesn't have a stamp, you're done.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to imply that you would cheat because because that's not. I mean, I'm just saying but there may be. I just wonder if there are bars that do that.
There's some bars in some of the small towns and stuff that TABC probably doesn't care much about, and I've been told by someone who has worked in some of these bars that certainly they don't care. But we're in the Metroplex, where we bring a lot of attention on ourselves.
And you're a high-profile bar.
We're high-profile. The last thing we need is to try and skirt any rule.
Yeah, but I would like to see it changed. Now, when the mayor and I were talking about this, the difficulty is that a lot of people say, okay, I can handle Total Wine, but they were afraid you'd have these, low rent liquor stores here in town.
Yeah, and it's not a completely unfounded
I mean, how can you
concern?
Yeah, how can you
if that's the reason, there are things we can do to maybe control that a little. I know that because I held the city's hand the entire way through our development to make sure that they knew what we were doing. They were okay with what we were doing. And we had to go in front of, city council to change the actual city code to specifically allow for us. And they carved it out very specifically because, and I found this pretty funny, they were worried about hookah lounges of all things. And I was like, good hookah lounge isn't the worst thing, but for some reason that was like the height of like, oh no, there's going to be, we don't want hookah lounges.
Yeah, well, but it's going to be really tough to say, okay,
no, it is.
Billy's cut rate liquor, you can't come in, but there are zoning issues you can maybe use to control it.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They have ways they can control it.
They can control it, but they can't prevent it. And the mayor and I both kind of came to that conclusion. I mean, we'd be setting the city up for a nice little lawsuit if we said specs can come in, but Joe's hard liquor and booze can't.
Yeah.
But you'd have to be pretty careful.
But I'd say, at that point, the free market kind of takes over. Because the cut rate liquor place, it's going to have a hard time keeping up with specs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been in Total Wine a few times.
Yeah.
And, that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Like, I could see it really easily fitting in over by the Kroger or H-E-B in that area.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope it happens, but if it does, it ain't going to be tomorrow because you have to get a lot of signatures to put on a referendum.
Well,
and it's going to be, like most electoral issues in this town, going to be a lot of hair pulling.
Yeah.
Well,
I've probably been told more than the average person knows. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I'd say in the next couple of years.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
The election will happen. Will it pass or not? That's another conversation.
Yeah.
But I think we'll have it within a couple of years, and we should.
We should.
If we're going to have a democratic-oriented system, let the people decide.
Let the people decide.
I don't know where you were at this particular time, but when they had the liquor changes about 12 years ago, they had to take 2 swings at the pitch before it made it. But boy, I would think even the teetotalers would say it's benefited the community. We got H-E-B from it. We got Fresco's and Mambo's and Fish City and all these other places.
Depends on who you ask, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I know there's a few that it still wishes we
They
just
lament how big it's gotten.
Yeah, and they want to be an old country town like when I moved here and we had the Old Country Steakhouse and whatnot, and that's fine.
Oh, I loved that.
Yeah, I liked that place too. I really did. But they're not going to stay in business forever.
Yeah,
Except for our place.
I always tell people,
way.
I'm like, look, man, we were always on the border of Fort Worth. It was always going to happen one way or another.
Sure.
Like people who are like, what happened to my country home? It's like you moved to literally the first city outside the big city.
Right. And that's what Shandy and I've talked about it several times. Is that Burleson is prime location because it's only 15 minutes to downtown Fort Worth, and you still got country. It's getting more expensive certainly, but you still had room to move. But I think it's going to happen, and should it? Yeah, because I think it would help not just your place, but a lot of other places.
I was going to say you wouldn't have our place if it hadn't happened. Because when we started working on a cigar shop in 2008.
Oh, you meant your place, the Wilde cigar, not our place with Otto.
Oh no, our place would definitely still exist. No, but Wilde. Yeah. I mean, when we first started working on a shop, we were going to do in Denton when I was up there. My dad at that time was like, well, if it's not working out in Denton, what do we think about Burleson? And I was like, no, of course not. It's too small. It's a bedroom community. There's nothing going on. And in that time, everything's changed. They've brought a bunch of, bars and restaurants down here. A lot of businesses moved down here, down that 35 corridor, and people are staying here now and spending their money here, and that's good for the city. And that's exactly when I moved back a few years ago. I was like, well, okay, I think it can support it now.
I never really understood back in the day, 12, 13 years ago, the opposition to changing the liquor laws to allow what we got now. Because it's like, people are going to do these things. They're going to buy the liquor. They're going to go to restaurants. Why not keep the money in town?
That's my approach.
And that's the same thing here. And, apparently the people of Alvarado didn't have an issue with it because they made it happen. We should make it happen here. Now, that puts me at odds, I know, with some of my Baptist friends, but most of my Baptist friends, I see at Chili's or other places like that, and that's just really becoming an old stereotype. Most of the Baptist friends I know are like, they may or may not imbibe, but they don't really care about other people, what they do about it.
Yeah, and I take the approach of, I think we have a lot of history to show that prohibition is not very effective. The best thing you can do is have it, make sure you can control it, regulate it. For God's sakes, get some tax out of it.
Well, plus, if your bar was in the Tarrant County part of Burleson, would this still apply? You'd have much more locations to choose from, right?
Yeah, no. If we were just over the county line, it would be a whole different world for us.
That's again ludicrous, because the fact is, if you put your bar at I don't know, over by Bell's, which I don't think, or not Bell's, Kohl's, I meant. Kohl's. It wouldn't fit very well
Kohl's
with it.
Kohl's is too hot for us, man.
Yeah.
They get wild there.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm kidding.
Right. But you put it over there, like some of the places you compete with directly can buy from Tarrant County sources.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any sense for Burleson, Johnson County based.
The last time it came up on the Burleson residents talking that I saw, that I'm not on Facebook much anymore. Surprising, I know.
I hear you.
But the last time, I brought the analogy from There Will Be Blood. It's the I drink your milkshake.
Right.
If it's legal all around us, then there's no benefit to us not having it. In fact, it's a detriment because more money is going out of the city.
Well, and and that's what I mean. It's like when I first moved here in the early '90s, you had Old Country, you had Golden Corral, which I think they even tore the building down now. Not the newer one, but the older one too.
The older one that was a mattress place for a
right,
long time.
Greasy and whatnot. But anyway, and then they had Jose's, which is terrible Mexican food. But the only reason people went there is because with a membership you can get a margarita, and it's like, and that's so you endure the food because you wanted to drink with your meal. And I hope it passes, but I know it's not going to be tomorrow. And I know that. I don't know how far along this proposal is. I know it was presented in March as an agenda item, but it's going to take a while, and it's going to take a lot of signatures. And you have to be a voter within the city limits of Burleson, which constrains a lot of people that would be in favor of this.
Yeah.
Do you live within the city limits, you say? See, I don't. I'm right outside them, and I'm okay with that. But this is the only time I really get, not the only time, the tax issue too, I'm good with. But I wish I could vote, but... it is what it is.
I mean, I've been told 2 years.
Well,
if everything goes right.
If everything goes right, yeah, we'll
2
see.
years.
Okay.
And that's fine. It's really let us, my bar manager, Kim, and I both come from the arts. It led us to have to be more creative in how we arranged the bar and how we developed cocktails. That's what led us to making our own sweet vermouth.
Yeah.
Is that Ravi didn't carry it consistently enough for us, and so we just started making it ourselves. So it's led us to some real interesting discoveries. It's led us to be more inventive, and I think it's overall made our bar better. But then there are also still some really awesome cocktails and drinks we'd like to do that we can't because there's a simple ingredient that's not rare and it's not expensive, but we don't have access to it.
Well, I could say this not just because you're a sponsor, but yours is the most high-end, best bar in town. There's other places you can get a beer or a shot of whiskey. That's fine. That's good. But no, yours is a place that a person that wants to have something a little different than something off the shelf. Yeah. That's the place to go.
Though I should still emphasize, I do have Mick Ultra and Jack Daniels.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You got
I do have Miller Lite and,
Oh, no, but you have all that.
The thing I've always said is that the cigar shop is accommodating to everyone. I've got cigars all the way down to $4 and now up to $40. And then I've got Mick Ultra all the way up to $25 Scotch.
Well,
and everything in between. Yeah. You can go and have a good time for $20 or you can have a good time for $200.
Right, and so that's what I'm trying to get at. Is that it's a place like, okay, I want to go to just have a little cocktail, whatever, or if I just want a beer and watch the game and talk and have a smoke, it's a full service bar. Whereas, I don't think there's another bar in town like it where you can go for casual or high end. It's a place I think if you had went over to American Revelry and had a nice meal, and you can walk on over to your place and
it's a perfect combination.
Nightcap and that kind of thing. And it's a nice evening. It's a date.
Especially right now, we have that 600 square foot patio. It's real nice out there. We put some patio furniture out now. We put a speaker out there so you can hear the music.
So I just think it's something this town has needed and whatnot, and it's. I see nothing but a bright future for it. I'm going to run through Oh, wait a minute. We did forget one thing. You do have an influencer tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night, special event. We have a guest. Her name's Melanie Cisco. She's known online as Lil Cisco Kid. That's SISCO Kid. She is one of the big influencers in the cigar world, specifically partnered up with Fuente Cigars. And she's doing a tour through Texas, and her and I got to meet at our trade show in January, and we really hit it off. And so she's going to stop by tomorrow and be hanging out. And
yes, and if you look on your Facebook page,
Instagram or Facebook,
you can see that this is not some gnarly old hag with a cigar. This is a very pretty young lady.
She is beautiful. She is very cool, very nice, very funny, very knowledgeable about cigars. She is. I was legit blown away when we got to know each other in January. Not just a pretty face, man. She is awesome.
Well, it just did crack me when I first saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hey, she knows how to sell those cigars. She's smart, man.
Okay.
But it's going to be fun. And then also on Sunday, we're not really promoting it as much. It's just kind of a drop by. Another head of a cigar company, Darren Chaffee from Principal Cigars, will be there 3 to 7 on Sunday hanging out because he'll be in for another event Saturday somewhere else. So he figured he'd stop by. So we got both those things. And then today is Cinco de Mayo. And tonight we're doing deals. We got margaritas, I think $6. I don't want to speak out of turn. I think $6. And then we're featuring a cigar, the Rojas Street Taco.
Uh-oh.
I brought one.
Show off.
It's got a fun orange band.
Yeah.
And it's specifically barbacoa here. Rojas is a local company to DFW, though Noel is from Cuba. And this is already a super popular, very good cigar. $6.99 today for the Toro. It's a pretty good price. So,
how about that?
And then we'll be having fun for Cinco de Mayo tonight.
The two holidays that amuse me the most is St. Patrick's Day and Cinco de Mayo. It's like you got people that have not a drop of ethnic connection there, and
there's nothing
Viva
Americans.
La Raza.
Americans love co-opting any other holiday to make it about let's get a drink.
Yeah, that's right.
That's our contribution.
I think my great grandfather was Irish. Therefore,
right. Well, this is the funny thing. I grew up thinking I had a lot of Irish in me, and only to find out that I have almost none.
Yeah.
It's all Scottish.
Oh well.
So
Scots. Well, of course, if I said that in Scotland, they'd give me a beating if I said there's no difference. No, I know Scots.
I do come from the Scotch Irish, actually. The Ulsters and whatnot.
But the May 5th Cinco de Mayo always cracks me up because it's like a lot of people think it's Mexican Independence Day, which it is not.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It's Donde la Cerveza.
Yeah, it's become its own thing.
They want to know where
we'll do our part.
Do your part.
We'll do our part. Drink specials, cigar specials. It'll be a fun night. Thursdays are always a good night anyway. Good crowds come out, so it's a good time to hang out.
It's funny. I mean, But anyway, I'm going to run through the ads real quick, and then you'll tell us what you like us to know. You get the last word, as I like to do here. Also, thank you, Daniel, CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Go work out, and they get the training programs that you want, so you'll have an efficient workout. Thank you, Shandy. Like I said, I'll have her on a week from Friday about her Re-Inspire program, where they take the people that are aging out of the foster system and to help them adjust to real life. And maybe I'll throw a few real estate questions in at her. And it's not Charisse, it's Clarice. All right, no, it is Charisse. I don't know. I've only met her one time, but see, the person that runs it. But anyways, Shandy will be here to help me get her name right. Anyway, thank you to Rex over at the Russell Wealth Group, myfinancialbox.com. So hit the link, get to know him. He'll come out and visit with you. Also, thank you to Gala. It's Mother's Day, 20% off on certain inventory. Get something for Mom. Doggone it, she's put up with you all these years. And so there you are on top of the Windmiller building. Also, thank you to Michelle over at Hot Work, so you can get a different type of workout, infrared, with all sorts of different programs to help you maximize your workout. Of course, Otto at our place. Everybody knows Otto. Everybody loves Otto. There you go, on the highway in Allsbury. Been there since 1986. Thank you to yourself. Okay, we'll give you the last word in a minute so we can move on to the next one. Point of sales operations. You can find a Proactive Payment Solutions with Antonio Basallo. He'll help you out with that. I had him on the show about 3 weeks ago, and he is it's an interesting story about his journey to America, shall we say. And he's exactly what we like to think about ourselves as a nation of immigrants. Because he's built a business, 2 of them, in fact, and really been very productive. And his sister has a similar story, and she's in the Air Force, so serving our country. Also, thank you to Tiffany. I hope y'all check out the latest episode on Apple and Spotify. It's been up since yesterday, and she has lots of interesting things going on with that magazine, and it's going to be a very busy summer for her, as always. She is here, there, and everywhere, so there you are. So tell us what you'd like us to know about Wilde cigar and culture.
We're doing great so far. We're having a good time, and we're building. Business is increasing. The word's getting out. Like I said, tonight, Cinco de Mayo, come have a beer, come have a margarita, come have a cigar. We'll be having fun. We get a little bendy with the closing time on Thursdays. So if we're hopping around 10 o'clock, we'll kind of keep it rolling. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Melanie Cisco, the little Cisco kid there hanging out. That's going to be a lot of fun. Friday nights are already a ton of fun. Saturday's just Saturday, but come hang out with us anyway. And then Sunday, we'll have Darren Chaffee from Principal Cigars there from 3 to 7 hanging out. If you have any questions about Principal Cigars, which is an interesting brand because they're mostly a European brand. We were only like their 6th or 7th American account. And the reason that's interesting is because they compete with Cubans every day. So it's what we call a more European style. It's a little bit different. They make one, their Accomplice Corojo. It's one of my favorite cigars in the world. So come meet him. He's very cool, very nice guy. So big, busy weekend. Oh, and then May 21st. Let me get this in. May 21st, 80s party. It's not a brand event. We just, it came up with some of our regulars. Everyone thought it was a great idea. Dress up like the 80s. We're going to be doing costume contests. We're going to be doing themed cocktails that night, including one based on the old Bartles and James wine coolers.
Bartles and James.
And of course, there'll be some gifts and merch for costume contest. And then June 10th, our next branded event, Tiki Party, where we'll be doing some tiki drinks. And that will be of Plasencia Cigars, which is one of our real premium brands, but a premium brand that is one of our best performers in the humidor. So that'll really excite people. If you already like Plasencia, which kind of average 16 to 20 bucks a stick, this is the day because there's going to be deals and you can get for way less per stick. So.
I'm glad you mentioned the 21st. I've been asked to promote the fundraiser for the golf tournament for the Spartan Regiment Band by our Kerry Bray. And so it's also on the 21st. So it'll be a good thing. You go golf. It's $100 a person, $400 a foursome. Go golf at Southern Oaks. There it is on the screen. Go over there, have fun, raise money, and go have a drink over at the Wilde Cigar and top your day off.
Yeah, come grab one on your way to the course, then then cap one at the end.
Well, it's a school event. See,
we actually went out to the municipal and worked Coach Kitna's tournament recently.
Is that right? Okay, well, good.
Yeah, because when they asked us, we were like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, the kids aren't here. This is."
Yeah.
And so we actually went out and sold cigars at it.
There you go. Well, some 16-year-old kid is smoking a cigar. I think he's doing it for attention, effect.
Yeah, he's not going. He's not going to enjoy it. I mean, this is one of those things that
make him sick. Maybe
this is one of the things we don't like about that cigarette industry and the vapes is they market to the kids, and we get caught up in the regulation and stuff, and we're like, dude, we don't even let you walk in the door if you're under 21, and then we put the cigars behind another door that you can't go in. We don't advertise anywhere hardly. So, yeah, we don't want kids in there. We don't want kids they don't have a sophisticated enough palate for this, man.
Well, gotta go. You got to run back to your real job, or are you going back to Wilde?
I'm going back to the day job.
No, well, how long are you going to keep that day job?
Just until enough of you come and hang out and spend enough time and hard-earned money that I can afford it.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. And remind y'all tomorrow I'm going to have a special show. And again, I thank the sponsors for giving me the latitude. It's going to be about the recent Supreme Court.
Yeah, I'll send you
leakage.
The talking points I want.
Oh, the talking points. Okay, I already got mine, but I could use them from all sources. So if y'all have anything to say about that, I'll be on the air tomorrow about it, and it's going to be a sensitive subject. So I appreciate as they say, your thoughts and prayers that I handle it appropriately. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.